Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you're someone who's always leaned on a mouse and those pretty graphical interfaces to get around your computer, but you're ready to seriously step up your game, you are exactly where you need to be. Today, we're taking you from a GUI-dependent novice to a totally confident terminal user. We're packing your toolkit with the 20 absolute most essential Linux commands. So let's just dive right in.
You know the scene, right? We've all seen it in the movies, that stereotypical hacker, sitting in a pitch-black room, typing furiously while green text just blasts across the screen. It looks, honestly, terrifying. And yeah, when you look at a Linux command line for the very first time, it kind of feels like trying to read an alien language. But here's the real truth. That black screen, it's not chaos, at all. Underneath it all, the logic is highly structured, it's incredibly efficient, and best of all, it's entirely learnable. Those engineers aren't doing magic, they're literally just using a specific set of commands that anyone, including you, can master.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start by meeting the terminal, then we'll tackle files and directory navigation, move right into system and network monitoring, unlock some admin and God tier commands, and finally, master the engineer's world. All right, part one, meet the terminal. Now, before we just start blindly memorizing commands, we need to talk about why the pros overwhelmingly choose a text interface over a mouse. In the Linux ecosystem, the real heavy lifting isn't done with clicks. It's all about the CLI, or command line interface. And the reasons? Well, they're absolute game changers. Once you know your way around, the CLI is just ridiculously faster. Plus, it saves a massive amount of system resources because, hey, it doesn't need to load up all those heavy graphics. It makes scripting and automation a breeze, and it is hands down the best way to manage machines remotely. Think web servers, cloud platforms, Kubernetes, routers. Virtually all the world's heavy-duty infrastructure runs straight off the Linux CLI. Okay, moving on to section 2, files and directory navigation. Dropping into a Linux terminal for the first time can literally feel like waking up blindfolded in a giant maze because, well, there are no visual folders to look at. And that's exactly where our very first command comes to the rescue, pwd, or print working directory. If you ever catch yourself thinking, where am I right now? pwd spits out your exact location path. It's basically your built-in GPS. Once you've figured out where you are, you grab our second command, ls, to list out the contents of that exact spot. You can even tack on flags like ls-l if you want all the gritty details, or ls-a to uncover hidden files. And to actually move through this maze, you use our third command, cd, for change directory. Just type cd and a path like cd/home, and boom, you've moved. These three right here, pwd, ls, and cd, these are your absolute God tier, use them every single day survival tools. So now you can move around, but you've got to be able to actually build and manipulate stuff, right? Want a new folder? Bam, mkdir, make directory. Need a super quick blank file to tinker with some settings? Just type touch followed by your file name. Now when it's time to duplicate something, cp is your go-to copy command. Just a quick heads up, remember to add -r if you're trying to copy a whole folder. Finally, we've got mv, which lets you move a file from point A to point B. And here's a fun little quirk. mv is actually the exact same command you use to rename a file in Linux. You're technically just moving it to the exact same spot, just with a brand new name. Kind of a neat trick, right? Okay, we need to pump the brakes and dramatically shift the vibe here for a second, because as they say, with great power comes great responsibility. The rm command is what you use to remove or delete files. Totally standard, totally useful. But if you combine it into rm-rf, that right there is widely known as one of the most terrifying commands in the entire Linux universe. The R forces it to go recursively through folders, and the F forces it to bypass any safety prompts. It will silently and instantly nuke everything in its path, without ever asking, are you sure? If you accidentally fire this off in the wrong directory, it is fully capable of wiping your entire operating system out of existence in the blink of an eye. So please, handle with extreme caution. Assuming you haven't totally deleted your system, you're inevitably going to need to peek inside some files, especially those tricky configuration files. For a quick glance, cat is your absolute best friend. It just dumps the entire contents of a file straight onto your terminal screen. Easy. But what if you actually need to edit that file? Well, enter the text editors. Nano is a fantastic, super beginner-friendly choice. It's straightforward, no nonsense, and literally tells you what buttons to press right on the screen. Vim, on the other hand? That's a different beast entirely. It is a remarkably powerful, advanced editor, but the learning curve is pretty steep. Honestly, half the battle is just figuring out how to close the darn thing. But mastering Vim is a total rite of passage for serious engineers. So my advice, start with Nano, but definitely aspire to Vim. Now, as you're practicing all these commands, your terminal is going to get really messy, really fast. It's a lot of visual clutter. When you just need a clean slate, type clear, and it completely wipes the screen. It's honestly great for your mental focus. But wait, what if you just wiped the screen, but you realize you forgot that brilliantly complex command you typed 2 minutes ago? Don't panic. Seriously, just type history. It instantly pulls up a numbered list of everything you've previously entered, totally saving you the headache of having to type it all out from scratch. All right, on to Section 3, System and Network Monitoring. Whenever an engineer smells a network issue, their knee-jerk reaction is almost always to type ping, like pinggoogle.com, just to verify if a connection actually exists. Simple enough. But when you need to pull up the machine's actual IP address, things get interesting. A lot of the veteran engineers will probably tell you to type ifconfig. And while that works on older setups, on modern Linux systems, it's pretty much a relic. The modern standard you absolutely need to know today is IP address. It does the exact same job, but it's the updated, modern tool you're actually going to find on all the newer servers. So what happens when your whole system starts acting sluggish and you need to diagnose it like right now? You fire up the top command. Think of top as your system's live heartbeat monitor. When you run it, it completely takes over your screen, giving you this highly dynamic, constantly updating dashboard of exactly what the machine is up to. You can actively watch your overall CPU usage, track how much memory is being chewed up, and most importantly, pinpoint exactly which active processes are being total resource hogs. Now, keeping in mind that in Linux, basically everything running is considered a process. If that top command just showed you a program that's completely frozen or gone rogue, you need a way to deal with it. Here is your ultimate 1-2 punch. Step 1, run PSAUX. This spits out a massive list of every single program currently running, and crucially, it assigns each one a PID or process ID. Step 2, once you've hunted down the PID of that stuck program, you bring out the hammer, the kill command, followed by that specific number. So something like kill 1234. And just like that, the system permanently terminates the frozen app. Problem solved. Moving right along to Section 4, Admin and God tier commands. If there's one thing Linux takes incredibly seriously, it's permissions. Believe it or not, a huge chunk of real-world cybersecurity vulnerabilities comes straight from sloppy file permissions. And that's exactly why we have chmod. By running a command like chmod 755script.sh, you're explicitly telling the system exactly who is allowed to read, write, or execute that file. It's basically your digital bouncer. But hey, what if you're just a regular user trying to run a system-wide update? Linux is absolutely not going to let you casually mess with core system files. To get past the velvet rope, you need sudo, which stands for superuser-do. Slapping sudo in front of your command temporarily elevates your privileges, essentially transforming you into the almighty, untouchable root user for that one specific action. Okay, out of all the 20 commands we are covering today, this next one is arguably the most critical one to lock into your memory. I'm talking about man, short for manual. Look, you do not need to memorize every single flag or obscure detail for every command, because Linux literally comes with its very own built-in teacher. If you ever completely blank on how to use, say, the list command, you just type man ls. It pops open a ridiculously detailed instruction manual, breaking down exactly what the tool does and every conceivable way you could possibly use it. Man gives you the superpower to figure absolutely anything out independently. And finally, Section 5, Master the Engineer's World. Let's zoom out for a second, because the reality is our entire modern world runs on the Linux CLI. Sure, you interact with beautifully designed graphical interfaces on your phone or your laptop all day, but behind the curtain, it's all Linux. The massive cloud platforms hosting your favorite apps, the web servers routing all your data, those complex Kubernetes clusters automating enterprise software, the beefy AI servers crunching endless data, and the hardcore enterprise cybersecurity devices protecting it all. Almost every single one of these large-scale systems relies heavily, if not entirely, on the command line interface. And the 20 basic commands we just explored? Those are the exact same fundamental building blocks that top-tier engineers use to manage all of that massive infrastructure. So if there's one thing I really want you to walk away with today, it's this realization. The CLI is not just about typing text into a weird black box. It's your first true step into the actual engineer's world. By wrapping your head around these 20 commands, you aren't just learning a piece of software. You're learning how to speak directly to the machine itself, with absolutely zero translation layers getting in your way. Whether your journey takes you deeper into Linux administration, or defending networks and cybersecurity, or architecting cloud systems, or diving into the wild world of AI, Mastering this terminal is exactly where that journey begins. The tools are officially in your hands now. The only question left is, what are you going to build?